Welcome back, everyone. Hope you're having a great day today. So, in the last lessons, you learned how to talk about real life situations and possible future results using what? Conditionals. But today, we are moving into something more powerful. Today, we are going to talk about things that already happened in the past, things that we cannot pretty much change, or things wherein we are imagining a different result. So think about this for a moment. Have you ever said something like, if I had studied more, I would have passed? If I had left earlier, I would have missed the bus. Okay? And that feeling of thinking back and imagining a different result is where you're looking at using third conditional. So that is our topic for today, and it is the third conditional. Okay? So as you can see on the screen, the topic pretty much revolves around third conditional, okay, as I just told you. And today's goal is very simple. Okay, by the end of the lesson, you will be able to understand when to use it. You will learn the structure clearly. And most importantly, you will be able to speak about your past experiences confidently. So get ready. We are going to be talking about regrets. Okay, we are going to be talking about regrets for today. All right, and also if you look at it, we are going to be talking about missed opportunities, past mistakes, alternative outcomes, emotional reflections when it is in reference to using third conditional, under real life situations. So let's begin. As you can see, the key idea for today is an unreal past condition. Okay, it's an unreal past condition, pretty much that you did not do, and you're imagining a past result in a different format. That is what third conditional is in reference to. Okay, now that feeling, that reflection, and that regret, that is exactly what we learned today. So, welcome to the grammar tool known as third conditional, and let's look at when to use it. That's very important. You use third conditional when you're talking about the past, first of all. Then you also use third conditional when the situation or the circumstance really did not happen. Okay, if you're imagining a different result altogether, at that point of time also you're looking at using the third conditional along with expressing regret or reflection. Okay, and if you're analyzing mistakes or missed chances also you will be looking at using third conditionals. So common use areas, in the sense, where exactly are you using third conditional when it comes to real life instances, are regrets, reflection, storytelling, analysis, emotional conversation. Now, even more important point to understand is when not to use it. You should not be looking at using third conditional when you use it for present imagination. Now, here you will be looking at using second conditional. I already did a session on this conditional as well, so please go ahead and catch that. Okay. Now, if you can look at the second point wherein we are looking at not using third conditional is for real future possibilities. And that's for the first conditional, but not the second conditional. A quick question that you will be asking yourself before you look at articulating a third conditional sentence is, did this not happen in the past? If there is something that really did not take place in the past, at that point of time you will be looking at the third conditional. Okay, now let's jump into something known as the meaning first. The topic itself is known as the meaning first, wherein we are looking at only the meaning of this these words together. Third conditional. What does third conditional mean? First of all, do not go into kind of understanding what is the form or what is the formula behind this. Let's first understand what is the meaning of third conditional. If this had happened, if something had taken place, That would have happened, in the sense we are regretting that we have not done our best. Probably we did not prepare for our examination as we should have. All right. So that is the point. What does the third conditional mean? If this had happened, that would have happened. So if I would have kind of worked hard, then this would have been a result which is totally different. At that point of time, we are looking at using third conditional. But the truth is that it actually did not happen. You did not study well, or you did not work hard. That is the reason we need to understand basic differences between the first, second, and the third conditionals. Okay. Now, this is about the past that cannot be changed. Keep that in mind as well. If there is a scenario where you cannot change what has happened in the past, for example, regrets, at that point of time, also you're looking at using third conditional. This expresses regret, as I told you, or a missed chance. Okay, all of these points are to be remembered. You really don't have to memorize them. You just have to remember that when are we looking at using this particular conditional when we are speaking. Okay, so the feeling in reference to or in relation to third conditional is obviously regretful, reflective, or analytical. Analytical in the sense you are analyzing a different result overall. So how would a sentence be formed is, if I had studied, I would have passed. So what is happening here? We are regretting that I did not study. This person did not study. So that is why he might have failed. So he is kind of saying that I would have passed. So this is a very small example. There are many examples yet to come in this lesson. Please stick on, okay? Now let's look at the build the sentence in the sense of formula that you can pretty much memorize as well. A best thing to do is pause the video here and write down this formula, all right? Write down this formula in the notebook or anywhere really, so that you can understand how exactly you can use it in a sentence, or how to form a sentence with this, okay? So let's look at the formula quickly. So that is this if plus past perfect, all right, would have, and past participle. It's very simple. If plus past perfect, and then it is followed by would have and your past participle. So listen carefully when I read the sentences and try to relate with the formula. As I read, please try to relate with the formula above. It's just on the same screen, right? So as I read, you can look at the formula. All right, great. If I had studied, I would have passed. That's a very simple one, right? This is the if clause and this is the result clause. This is the if clause, this is the result clause. Let's look at some other examples for today. If she had left earlier, past perfect. If she had left earlier, she would not have missed the train. Okay, this is a negative sentence because obviously there is a presence of this word not here. Okay, the second one is, if they had listened, they would have avoided the problem, right? If they had listened, if plus past perfect, would have here, if you can see here, would have past participle. Avoided, avoided past participle, the program. Sorry, the problem. The next one, if we had booked the tickets, we would have gone to the concert. Okay. Now, another thing to remember is that you can also reverse the sentence. It can go something like this: I would have passed if I had studied. It's not a problem. You can reverse the sentence as well when it comes to conditionals. I've already told this in one of the conditional, that I spoke about earlier, probably in the first or the second. I truly don't remember. This point is to be noted that you can go ahead and reverse your conditionals as well. I would have passed if I had studied. All right. Now let's look at another interesting topic, that is using models. Why do we use models, guys? What are models? Models are words like could, might, should, would, words like that. And what is the reason behind it? The reason is to sound polite. Models are polite words. They're very good words to use in your daily life as well. What I could just advise is, whenever you come across or whenever you find yourself conversating with a friend or a colleague, Go ahead and use models and see what difference it makes for yourself. Okay, so you can replace would have with other models also. Like, see, the formula talks about having would have, right? You can replace this with certain other models as well, like could have. What happens when you use could have? Could have gives you a sense of possibility, like, it could have happened. All right, it could have happened, a strong possibility. Now what if I change could have to might have instead of this would have in the formula? What if I change this to might have? What will happen? If I changes to might have, it will give a weaker possibility, in the sense like, if you talk about this in terms of percentages, I would say that it would give a 70% possibility of the things to be occurring in the form of a result. Now, should have is obviously an advice or criticism. Now, let's quickly take a look at some examples to understand the using models in result clause. Okay, remember, there is an if clause and the result clause. The first part of the sentence is the if clause. I'm talking about this. Let's look at the basic sentence. Here you can see this, right? This is the if clause. Okay, this is the if clause. I'm just trying to make a box. Oh no. Okay, one second. Hold on, guys. Okay, this is the if clause. What is the if clause? This is the if clause, and this is the result clause. Okay. Now, when I say if clause, please do not get confused. The first part of the sentence is the if clause. The second part is the result clause. Now, if you can see here, if I can just go ahead and substitute would have, okay, would have with could have, might have, or should have, how will the sentence sound? Okay, first let us take could have. It's a higher possibility. If we had reviewed the proposal earlier, we could have caught the error. So here the person is saying that if we would have just, if they would have done the good job at reviewing the proposal, they could have caught the error at least 80%. Now let's look at the same, not the same sentence, a different sentence, but with this time with using might have. So, if she had apologized, they might have stayed friends. So, it's a weaker possibility. What does the sentence say? The sentence say that if this person would have apologized for whatever she has done, they might have stayed friends. Possibility is around 70% only. Okay? They're just guessing. They're just guessing. However, when you use could have, the possibility increases. Okay, okay, I hope I'm clear. Moving on to should have. All right, if you had told me, I should have helped you. So what happens here is that it's a kind of an advice indirectly. Okay, so this is something that we really need to know. Using models in real clauses, I'm sorry, in the result clauses, helps you to always sound polite and enhanced as well at the same time. Quickly, let's look at the three core patterns for today. The pattern one is regret, wherein a person is regretting that they should have done something better in their, past. Why? Obviously, to get a better result. So, if I had studied more, I would have gotten an A or an A plus. Okay? If I had studied more, I would have gotten A or an A plus. Okay? This is something that is in a form of a regret. Okay? A person says that if I would have studied, I would have got something better. Clearly, it's a third conditional. Okay, a different result. Right. Second pattern is in reference to missed opportunity. If I had taken the shortcut, we would have avoided traffic. All right. Missed opportunity means what? It's like practical. If they would have taken a shortcut, they kind of would have just avoided the traffic and reached wherever they are like seeming to reach a bit more earlier than usual. All right, that's all it is. Now the pattern 2 talks about analysis or reflection. Okay, like a conclusion to life. I can actually give you that example here. Now let's look at the sentence. All right, if the team had communicated better, the project would not have failed. It's a reflection. Okay. Or you can call it an analysis as well. What are they saying? What is the sentence saying? It says that if the team had communicated better amongst themselves, the project would have been a success. Okay, that is what they are saying. So it's a reflection or an analysis. So these are the three core patterns wherein you're kind of looking at, also practicing here. Please look at practicing, which is very important. So what I'm going to do is again draw this icon so that you can understand that. Stop the video and try to relate with the formula that I spoke about earlier. This formula. I hope you can see my cursor moving. You can just go ahead and try to understand the usage of this formula in reference to all the sentences you can see on the screen. So what best can you do? Pause the video and read all the sentences. All right, we are in our third conditional and there's only another conditional to go. So this is an advanced grammar topic, guys. You really need to wrap your heads around this because many of us, speak in conditionals. However, we do not know that these are known as conditionals in English. Okay, so as you can see, I just finished the three core patterns for today. Please go ahead and pause the video and read the sentences aloud. Let's look at some real life model lines, all right, or examples, aka. Those are casual conversations. It might sound like, if you had told me, I would not have gone, right? Yes. If I had remembered her birthday, she would not have been upset. All right. Yeah, pretty much. This is very casual. It's too casual to talk about. Now, in terms of work and business, if the team had met the deadline, the project would have launched on time, right? If the management had approved the budget, we would have started earlier. Okay, it's in reference to work or business. These are all examples. Why? Obviously, to give you the gist of advanced type of English, and also to give you a chance to read these sentences. Read as much as you can because I think it's one of the uh, best thing to do and one of the best methods to understand any concept really. I'm not telling you to go bonkers behind the vocabulary I have used here. It is a high end vocabulary, but it's okay to read even if you're at a beginner level, how much ever you can. Okay, it's not mandatory that you sound right all the time. However, reading is pretty much important, and you can just go ahead and pause the video and read all these sentences on daily basis as well. Okay, academic and formal. If the government had intervened earlier, intervened, okay, this is a nice word. All right, if the government had intervened earlier, the crisis might have been avoided. Okay, might. See, they dropped the would, and here it is a might. Might in the sense, what does this give you? What does this give you? Might gives you a weaker possibility. Okay, might have gives you a weaker possibility in the sentence. All right, so if the government had intervened earlier, the crisis might have been avoided. Had researchers conducted more trials, the result would have been more reliable. Okay, I will tell you about this sentence where the if is not to be seen. I will tell you about this sentence, a bit later. However, let's go ahead and look at contrast corner. Okay, now what is the contrast corner? What is the contrast corner? Contrast corner is somewhere I want you to understand that a person should not get confused with this conditional, confused with the second conditional. You should never get confused with third conditional with the second conditional. All right. Now, second conditional is very clearly used to represent unreal present or future. Okay. However, third conditional is used to represent or kind of predict the unreal past. This is present or future, guys. This is past. Please keep that in mind. Okay. So listen carefully now. The example, if I were rich, I would travel the world. It's an imaginary present. So this is pretty much your second conditional. However, if I say, if I had been rich, I would have traveled the world. Am I clear? Am I clear? Okay. So what are the sentences? I'm going to read it out again and try to, relate to second and the third conditional and try to make those tiny differences um, pretty much obvious. I'm going to tell you to try to make these points wherein I'm letting you know that this is the contrast and how a person can go wrong whilst they are using conditionals. So the examples are, if I were rich, all right, imaginary present this is. The person is saying something in reference to if he was rich. Imagining, right? If I were rich, I would have traveled the world. Now, here you see it says, if I had been rich, I would have traveled the world. Imaginary past. Okay, it's an imaginary past. So this is how, and these are really tiny differences between the conditionals. I would want you to go ahead and catch all the videos like zero conditional, first conditional, second conditional, and this is the third one that we are on today. All right, now, yes, this is the one that I was talking about. Guys, I really want you to see the screen now. Just keep your eyes on the screen. Okay, so I'm highlighting this. That's very important. It's very important, this one. Okay, so this is an extra note or something that many people, I don't know, are aware of or not. However, I would just go ahead and share it with you, all right? So knowledge is to share, it is not to hide. Okay, knowledge is to share, it is not to hide. It's a great line. All right, so you can drop if. See, look at this. Look at the third. I just kind of told you that I'm going to talk about this sentence later, right? Where was that? Yes, this one. This sentence. See, had researchers conducted more trials, the result would have been more reliable. What are they saying? If the researchers would have conducted more trials, in the sense if they would have done, more experiments on things, the results would have been more reliable. In the sense, people would have gone ahead and trusted those results a bit more than usual. So that is what the sentence means. Had researchers conducted more trials, the results would have been more reliable, right? Now, come down to this extra point, all right? It says that you can drop if in formal settings or formal contexts. Like what? Like what? See this. Had he prepared properly, he would have passed. So what are they doing? They have dropped this if, and they have just started talking with the with the verb or the auxiliary verb, that is had. Had he prepared properly, had he prepared properly, he would have passed. This also can be a kind of a sentence. However, it is not, something that is a textbook kind of a formula for conditionals. You can talk this way as well once you reach that level of fluency. You can drop the if sometimes. All right, great. Now let's kind of look at some common mistakes. Very important again to understand, right? So many learners say, if I would have known, I would have gone. This sounds natural, guys, but it is incorrect. Okay, why is it incorrect? Why is it incorrect? Because this, the corrected sentence, look at the corrected sentence. Yes. See, if I would have known, I would have gone. This sounds natural, okay, but it's grammatically incorrect. All right. Why does this happen? Would have sounds polite. Okay, it sounds hypothetical. So students use it twice. All right. All right. The correct sentence is, if I had known, I would have gone. Always remember, had plus the past participle in the if clause. Would have should come in the result clause. What did I say? What did I say? Look at this. If I would have known, I would have gone. What is happening here? He's using would two times. Now, this is incorrect in terms of conditionals. Many people think that it is, sounding correct. Many people think it's right. Whatever he said, I think it's right, because if I would have known, I would have gone. Right? Many people talk like that. However, just keep in your mind, or make sense of it, that you cannot use would two times. It shouldn't be used twice in a sentence. All right. So the correct formula is, if had past participle, then your result clause will have would have. All right. Then your result clause, I told you this is your The first part of the the sentence is an if clause. The second part of the sentence is your result clause. So if I had known, I would have gone. That is the correct sentence. Okay, great. Let's look at some quick pattern table for your better understanding. If I had studied, I would have. If they had left, they would have. If she had told me, I would have. Okay, I think it's pretty easy to understand now. Many people think, yeah, it is difficult, and conditionals are something that we never want to touch. No, it's not like that. It is pretty much easy if you understand certain concepts, guys. Okay, so if clause will have this had, okay, and the result clause will have would, but still can be substituted with the models that I spoke about earlier. Could, might, should. You can do that here as well. Only in the result clause. Okay, great. Now repeat this after me because it says trainer prompt. That's me. Okay. If I had known, I would have gone. Pause the video and do the same. Repeat after me. If I had known. And also, when you read sentences, guys, when you read them out, kind of keep in mind that you stress on some selected words. I selected known because I feel it's a good word to stress on. Like, you also can quit sounding monotone and sound a bit enthusiastic when you're talking in English. For example, if I had known, I would have gone. If I had known, I would have gone. So I selected known. You can go ahead and select any word and kind of use those tone differentiations. All right, let's look at mistake number two. Forgetting the past perfect. If I knew about the deadline, I would have submitted. What? If I knew about the deadline, I would have submitted. All right. Now, what's happening here? What's happening? What's happening? This new is there, right? This word is simple past. But what are we talking about? A past situation that did not happen. So we need, one step back. We need one step back. And how are we going one step back? By using had known and dropping knew. We are not going to use knew. If I knew about the deadline, I would have submitted it. Sounds really, really like, correct. However, it's incorrect version of a conditional. Remember this trick, guys. Remember this trick. Had is equivalent to a condition and would have is the result. Just understand that you should use had and would have or any other model really. Okay, so what happens? It automatically takes you to one step back in time. Past perfect. Had, that will be in your if clause. Would will be in your result clause. What is the correct sentence? If you can look at the incorrect one, if I knew about the deadline, I would have submitted it. Correct version is if I had known, all right, about the deadline, I would have submitted it. Correct? Had and would have. That's it. All right. So memory trick, I already kind of shared it with you. Had shows the past condition, would have shows the result in your result clause. Okay, great. Mistake number three. Mixing second and third conditional. A very basic mistake, a prominent mistake done by many learners. Let's learn how to kind of, ignore that totally. All right. So second conditional and time. Second conditional deals with what I already told you, present or future. So this is unreal possibilities. Okay, unreal but yet possible. The third conditional is, however, related totally to past. Okay, and it is impossible to do what? To correct the situation. So remember that second conditional is always present or future and is in reference to unreal but possible situations. However, your third conditional is related to past but impossible. It is too late to correct it. Let's look at some incorrect, examples or wrong examples. If I would win the lottery, I would, again I told you, would and would never go together. Would and would never go together. Again, the second one also is kind of similar to that. So I'm not going to go ahead and read that. The correct versions are, if I won the lottery, I would buy a house. This is a second conditional. Okay, this is a second conditional because we don't have had. Here, look at this. Look at this. Look at this sentence. Till here, the if clause, it doesn't carry an had word, right? So this is a second conditional. If I won the lottery, I would buy a house, right? But when you're looking at the third conditional, clearly it has this word had, and here it is a would have. Correct? Great. Let's move on. Now you can ask yourself a question. Is it about now or future? If it's about now or if it's about a future, then it is a second conditional. It is about past regret, then obviously it's your third conditional. Okay, that is something really, really important. Now, mistake number 4, ignoring the emotion. Please don't ignore emotions, guys, because as human beings, I think we are truly emotional on anything. All right, if something happens in and around your environment, pretty much the first thing comes to us is showing out our emotions, right? So do not ignore emotions even when you're speaking and trying to articulate or trying to curate a sentence. You always have to remember, I also kind of told you this again and again, please use those words which show emotions as well. All right. Third conditional is not just grammar, it shows regret, apology, gratitude, and reflection also. For example, if I had known you were sick, I would have visited you. Okay, that example is not here, it's here. All right. If I had known you were sick, I would have visited you. If I had studied, I would have passed. It's a regret. This is empathy. All right. Now, gratitude. If you had not helped me, I would not have succeeded. Gratitude. Indirectly, you're telling, thank you, because if you had helped me, that is the reason I passed, or that's the reason I got the job. So, what are you showing? Gratitude. All right. So, that is something also you need to keep in mind. Now, mistake number 5 is overcomplicating things. For example, in order to sound advanced, we might just go ahead and overboard ourselves by using might in the sentence structure, then would have, and how the sentence would sound. If I might had known, I would have could helped. Definitely incorrect because it sounds incorrect as well. But sometimes it happens, okay? Sometimes it really happens. The second incorrect sentence here is, if I had just possibly been aware, I would have most certainly helped. Too many words cause confusion, guys. So, a golden rule is stick to the simple formula and yet you will sound powerful. So, use this clean formula, that is just if, had plus verb 3. That is in your if clause, and in your result clause, it is would have plus your verb 3. That's it. That's it. Your past participle. That's the golden rule. That's the golden rule. Again, do the same thing. Pause, write it down somewhere, practice the structure, and practice your sentences accordingly. Okay. Now, let's look at mistake number 6, pronunciation problem. Now, you see here, would have, could have, should have. Sometimes it's not a real problem. However, it cannot be considered as a problem. But yes, would have, okay, would have, could have, should have, it could have, like, the common error is sometimes people use would off or could off. These are incorrect. All right. So if you could repeat after me, I do not have the sentences on the screen. It is, I would have gone. I could have passed. They should have left earlier. It kind of, people listen very carefully. All right. People listen very carefully. However, when we are pronouncing, it might sound like an off, could off. Okay. It's not that. It is would have or should have or could have. Okay, this have is something that we really need to keep in mind. Great. Now this is a mini practice drill. I would want you to repeat after me. I would have gone. I could have, she could have passed. They should have left earlier. Okay, kind of try to shadow, and that's it for this practice drill. Now, mistake number 7, quickly, that is, grammar knowledge is not enough. All right, you know that. You know that from the start or from the very beginning of the 50-day spoken English course or the grammar series that we are giving out free here at GKPro. I have been reinforcing that fluency is not always equivalent to knowing your grammar perfectly. All right, you have to use all these strategies in your conversations, when it comes to storytelling, when it comes to a reflection or any conclusion that you take away from your real life experiences. And try to get in your siblings, your parents, anyone that you're speaking in English with, to kind of do a role play with you as well. But always make sure you are talking to them only in English. Okay, only in English and no other language if you are trying to learn English. All right, again, the same drill here. I will not read this out for you. Okay, you are going to do that. It's your section, guys. Pause and read the sentences aloud. Read these sentences aloud. Why? Because it will help you. Obviously, it's for your benefit. You will understand at the end of the session that why conditionals are important in English. Okay, because they are pretty much a sensitive topic when it comes to advanced, kind of the grammar topics or grammar theory. So I really want you to go ahead and please understand all the conditionals. They are very important. Okay, and they are pretty much used by every fluent speaker. Okay, great. So let's look at the final recap in reference to 7 big mistakes people can make. Using would have twice. Yes, that's the first one that we spoke about. Not using the past perfect formula. All right. Mixing the second and the third conditional, very common. Ignoring emotions. Do not ignore. We are human beings. Okay. Overcomplicating things like might have, could have, should have, would have, everything in one sentence. Doesn't sound right. Wrong pronunciation has to come out properly. Would have, should have, could have. Not like would have, could have, should have. That's wrong. That's incorrect. And the most important point is not practicing, guys. If you see certain videos wherein people say you don't have to practice speaking English, please don't read books, or please don't watch or listen to podcasts, I am totally against it. I'm totally against it, because as as we expose ourselves to more of anything, we try to become these sponges. A sponge actually soaks in water. So that is the whole concept here. It's the basic concept. As and when you expose yourself to any language that you really want to learn, I'm 110% sure that you will be, and the way that each and every fluent speaker has already taken, that is, you will improve yourself with time, with small steps. But please don't stop yourself from practicing, practicing, and practicing. Okay, let's look at a micro conversation example for today. Why were you late? If a person A asks, the person B would want to kind of answer in a third conditional, that is, if I had left earlier, I would have arrived on time. Did you enjoy the trip? We would have enjoyed it more if the weather had been better. Okay, again, you can do the same. All these examples are for your use. You just have to go ahead and pause the video wherever you feel like, or if you have time, and read them aloud. And read them aloud. Even better, you can make your own sentences. Okay, great. Now, there's a practice ladder, a very small practice session wherein you have to kind of fill these blanks up. Okay, half the work is already done. However, you have to do it on your own. If I blank, remember, I blank buy her a gift. If they dash not miss the train, they dash on time. Same thing with this. Fill in the blanks. Okay, if he dash so much, he dash not feel sick. Okay, great. So again, the speaking prompt here, something that I truly relate with, is recording yourself when you speak. Okay, so say 3 past regrets using the if clause, however, should be in reference with the third conditional only. Okay, third conditional only. Why? Because that is what we are talking about, right? Yes. Now let's look at the recap. So third conditional means what? Unreal past plus an imagined result. What do you understand by third conditional? It's an unreal past and your result is pretty much imagined. Okay, so your formula is if past perfect in the if clause. In the result clause, it is would have and your past participle. I think I already spoke about it under the sentence builder section, wherein I also circled the formula for you. Now, again, this is just a recap. Okay. Now, if you look at a mini call to action before I end the class, write one regret sentence using this particular structure. The next conditional we are going to be looking at is known as mixed conditionals. So it's been a beautiful session. Now you don't just understand the third conditional, you can use it naturally in real life conversations as well, people. So in the next lesson, as I told you, we are going to learn something even more powerful, and those are mixed conditionals. So make sure you continue this journey with us. Okay. Now I want you to understand that this brings us to the end of today's session. Every step you take in speaking English adds up, guys. Even the small efforts, the sentences you try, or the words you struggle with, the moments you hesitate, they are all a part of building your fluency. Okay, so the goal is simple: to help you speak clearly, naturally, and confidently in real life situation. So if you are kind of watching us on YouTube and you're learning through YouTube, please go ahead and kind of take a look at the link in the description. However, it has been a great session today. Thank you so much for joining in. Have a great day.